What up, perps? Kid Copious back in effect. Purple State Party, you know what we're doing here. We're repping America, the center, and common sense. This one is for the U.S. soccer team. Really proud of those guys, man. Now, the reason why we called this episode the shortest week is because I didn't have to work. And during that time, I just got to soak up all the World Cup goodness. Yeah, this joke does make sense. Soccer team apologizes for running up the score in a 2-0 blowout. But you know what? Once you start watching soccer, you understand. 0-0, it's not the greatest result, but you know what? It's really dramatic. And for the U.S. to go toe-to-toe with England like that, that says a lot about where our program is. And soccer is very important to me. I've mentioned it before. But, you know, people don't realize necessarily how good England is. If you took their bench and you took the players that they left off their roster, you would still have a formidable team. Their bench is just that good. That's just the reality of it. And for us to do that with the group of guys we have guys that, I don't even know if they belong on the pitch. But when you watch World Cup, it connects you to all the people, and that's important to me. I love being connected to the people. I love seeing how they celebrate. I love to see how they dress up. I love to see bits and pieces about their country. I find that all fascinating. And then, when Japan beats Germany, the elation that you feel, the hope that you feel, that even, in today's crazy, modern, stacked against us world, David can still beat Goliath. And I'm the David. But during that time, I just let stuff filter in. Stuff that would pop up on my screen. I just wasn't paying attention to the news. I wasn't checking in with Smart News, the app that I use. And I wasn't checking in with Yahoo. I was using my CBS Sports app to follow any scores of games that I wasn't able to watch, which was just a few of them. I watched them Tuesday while I was at work. Yeah, every chance I had, man, I would get that phone up and I'd be watching. I think it was France, Australia. Again, watching the Aussies stand up to such a powerhouse gives you hope. Gorillas actually do this. Watch QI. I'm just throwing out the plugs, aren't I? But one story that filtered through was the shooting at the gay nightclub and the heroics of a former military man who just rushed the gunman and took him down. And that's what America's about. I don't care what they were doing there. Man, if you want to have a drag show and people want to go, great, I would go. I love Jinx Monsoon, RuPaul's Drag Race, whatever. It's quirky, who cares? It's not worth all the hate. But this one really sums it up. Journalists rush the scene of shooting to determine whether it's politically useful. And that is the huge problem that we face right now. We're not... Hold on here. There we go. We're not unifying. We're just constantly dividing. And one of the ways that the media keeps that division alive is by choosing the stories and choosing the angles. It's not about a group, a block of voters, or a disenfranchised community. When you focus on that, that might get you some votes, but that doesn't make a difference. That doesn't change anything. Yes, we have lots of guns. And we have chat rooms that are filled with the most disgusting hate imaginable. But at the end of the day, you have to be fucking crazy to be so unhappy that you go and you take the lives of innocent people just trying to enjoy a night out. You force a soldier to take you down and beat you with your weapon. That you force a cop to shoot you. Therein lies the problem. This is a problem that affects everybody. Mental health. And we're not doing anything to address it. We only address it in little pockets, little boxes that we think are beneficial to our side. And we ignore the vast majority of people out there who are struggling. Kids who are cut off from society. Adults who, after being locked out of their jobs because of COVID, now realize, hey, there's more to life than working. And now they've got to go back to work because, unfortunately, loving life doesn't pay the bills. But what are we doing about that? Nothing. We're worrying about banning abortion or climate change. This latest jagoff, he made threats. But nobody was able to do anything. They want to put up red flag laws. What about conservatorships? What about documenting patterns of bad behavior that then add up to something? They don't have to be crimes. I saw that in my own family, where an elderly person was being abused by a younger member of the family. And nobody did anything until she ended up in the hospital. My next door neighbor had a family member who was robbing her blind, and people could see it, but there was no power to step in and stop it until a crime was committed. And it was over drugs. Ruined the old lady's life. Over drugs. And yet we do nothing about it. Because that doesn't get votes, apparently. That's what Purple State is standing on. We would want votes based on the merits of our actions, not the boxes that we checked. And in fact, if we checked boxes, vote us the fuck out. That would be my stance. Anyhow, let's continue on. They said what? Look at this headline here. Biden forces America to pay climate reparations. Yeah, let's use those buzzwords, man. Reparations. Okay, excuse me. We're doing a pretty fine job of cleaning up the planet. We're making our moves. We're making our sacrifices. We're being forced to do things and buy things that we never thought we would have to buy. And we're now going to shell out more money to all the issues we have here. Healthcare, food, housing, fuel. We're going to send more money to other countries in the form of climate reparations. Yeah. Meanwhile, that guy right there, Kerry, flies around in a private jet. How much longer do we put up with this bullshit? Seriously. Adults should be able to hold two ideas in their head at the same time. Grooming kids with drag shows is evil. Shooting up a gay club is also evil. This is not complicated. Yeah, I don't really see that as a problem. But then again, are we saying grooming kids with drag shows, like every drag show is for child grooming? Because, yeah, no, that's just not right. You know, whatever. Look at this one here. The city that works is a legally dysfunctional city in a legally dysfunctional county. They are going to release hundreds of people charged with actual violent crimes, burglaries, domestic abuse, drunk drivers. They're just going to walk. Because this guy Schmidt says, oh, well, they don't have enough counselors available. They don't have enough, public defenders. This dude is an ardent BLM supporter. He's saying they're just going to cut the criminals loose, dismiss the cases. 11 days after being elected district attorney with the help of Sean King, that piece of shit, he made a name for himself by refusing to prosecute BLM rioters. People who locked cops in buildings and tried to set the building on fire. He didn't want to have anything to do with that. Yeah. That's what you get when you buy into what the left or the far right say. You end up with district attorneys who side with criminals. Yeah, that's great. How about this one? Biden administration quietly approves huge oil export project despite climate rhetoric. I guess you could file this one under, they didn't say what? Yeah. 2 million barrels a day. Do we need it? Yes, we do. But you notice that a day after the climate conference wrapped up, they filed, the approval was filed without any public announcement. Look, own it. That's, are we not seeing this? This so illustrates my point right here that they had to do something that would be red, but they're blue. So they needed to hide it. They needed to do it, but they didn't want to upset people. The world is not a kind place. We should not be worried about upsetting a few people who sit on the fringe. Personally, I wish we had this. And imagine if this project had started 2 years ago. We would be closer to actually getting 2 million barrels a day. Yeah, you know. Whatever. You know, Europe's going to be strangled by Russia. So, this one. Twitter before Elon versus Twitter after Elon. Yeah. That Twitter photo looks real. It's a bunch of fucking Karens. Look at all them white women. Look at all those overeducated thinkers. Diversity directors and shit like that. Meanwhile, the goofy group of guys over there, you know, those are probably programmers. Of course, her point is look, all the women were kicked out. Well, if all the women had bad ideas or had useless jobs, then I guess they got to go. I mean, it is a tech company. So, you know, maybe instead of telling coal miners to learn how to program, maybe we can get more women programmers. How about that? How's that for a solution? Taliban quits Twitter to protest return of Trump. Look, I don't want to see hate speech and I don't want to see lies. But people deserve to have a voice. That voice seemingly goes through Twitter, at least for now. So, you know, let the free for all begin, as far as I'm concerned. Celebrities cope and seethe after Elon Musk restores Trump's Twitter account. A tragic day for America. Oh, I'm sorry. Some of those faces. Holy shit. Whew, they got face for radio. Yeah, it's not a tragic day. I found this little piece to be interesting. This political scientist argued that the Democratic Party has taken note that Americans are tired of debating race, immigration, gender ideology, and school curricula. But after swinging from hard left to hard right, the American pendulum might just be headed back to the normie middle. Yeah, got to have buzzwords in there, you know. You got to have your buzzwords. That's one thing about being a writer nowadays. You got to know your buzzwords. Normie, apparently, is one we're going to be using. Wow. All right. But yeah, we are. We are tired of hearing about that. But what's being done? The one thing that you could actually do something about, immigration, it's just a shit show. But, you know, if we're going to move back towards the middle, you know, the left is going to have a long, hard look at itself. The people who are close to the middle on the left are going to need to fully move to the left. Because this extremist shit is just, it's a waste of time. These worrying about the names of a school, no. You know, that is really focused on the wrong thing. You know, the blame game. That's what it's all about, you know, the blame game. You know, a school gets shot up, it's got to be the fault of the gun, you know. Some psycho puts scissors in the back of somebody's head. Oh, it's liberal politics. And it's not liberal politics that drove the scissor. It's not Republican politics that pulled the trigger. It's fucking crazy. And if we don't start dealing with crazy in a proper way, you know, we need to have the help available for those who want it. We need to have mechanisms that allow us to get people into treatment And we need to punish people when they step out of line in horrific ways. Simple. So, of course, it was Thanksgiving, you know. One of the reasons why I didn't kind of had a news blackout was I just wanted to focus on what was, you know, I was thankful for, you know. My family, you know, anybody who watches these videos, you know, that we live in a country that doesn't take men and women out to a stadium and flog them for religious indiscretions. I'm glad we don't live in a country where attacks on minorities and the LGBT community are permitted or glossed over. I like that we have such things as hate crimes. I don't know, you know, if it's always applied properly, but, you know, that's a matter for a different day. But yeah, politics in the 1920s. Turkey in every pot. Pot in every turkey. Yeah. Build back better. I think this is a flashback one. Tension at first Thanksgiving as one pilgrim wears Make America Great Someday hat. Oh, man. Those early days, man, you know, they came over here to escape religious persecution. And we can't allow our society to allow persecution. We need to end persecution in America. Whether it's persecuting people for their religious beliefs, their political beliefs, their sexual orientation, whatever it is, persecution, no, it's got to stop. But we should prosecute the right people. He gets a pardon because he has the courage to identify as a turkey. Yeah, that sort of sums up some of the wackadoodle stuff we're seeing. You know, hey, he deserves an advantage because she identifies as a female athlete. Yeah, it's the same sort of thing. So, you know, we were talking about the news that seeped in, the shooting at Club Q. And again, you know, as soon as you get down here, the attack in which 5 people were killed follows a long-standing pattern where the country's extremist far-right fringe latches on to hysterical coverage from conservative media and politicians against a minority group, often with fatal consequences. So it's all them. We already know this. We've already solved this issue, right? It's all the far-right fringe. I mean, burning down cities, gluing yourself to famous works of art, disrupting traffic, the Antifa movement that destroyed cities and has, you know, severely altered the landscape of major metropolitans. Yeah. Okay, we're not allowed to say that that's left-wing fringe, but feel free to call this right-wing fringe without knowing all of the facts. They don't know. They don't know the motive. You know? He told the family he wanted to be the next mass shooter, according to arrest documents. Right? The suspect himself identifies as non-binary. I don't even know if that makes a difference. I don't really see that being non-binary, but okay. I you know, looks can be deceiving apparently. But the rush to blame somebody and to just overlook crazy, that's the problem. And here's another problem that nobody seems to want to face. Hundreds of Chinese drones flying over DC restricted airspace. They're supposed to not be allowed in those areas, programming or something like that, you know. But China is not controlling these drones. It's just Chinese-made devices. We are allowing probably our greatest enemy access to whatever data they see fit to have. We have signed a deal with the devil, and we are getting singed now. And we'd better fucking figure it out before we get burned. So these drones made by DJI use geofencing to prohibit drones. But as is pointed out here, government contractor pointed out to Politico, there are YouTube videos that can walk your grandparents through how to bypass these constraints and allow users to fly the drones wherever they want. That's why we have to be careful with what we allow into this country. I mean, the Chinese are installing border scanners then on the U.S.-Mexico border on the Mexican side. That's information. Now, I don't know what you do with that information. Manipulate elections, figure out ways of sneaking into buildings. I mean, this is some dangerous shit, and it needs to be dealt with. And it needs to be dealt with without a bunch of people screaming, oh, xenophobia. We need to look at who China really is, what a bunch of evil bastards they really are, and treat their shit as though it's enemy hardware. That's just what has to be done. We have, like I've said, made in Americas. Let's move our manufacturing into Central and South America. It'll ease the ports, and maybe it'll help out. Maybe it'll save some of these countries down there. Fuck China, though. All right. Qatar authorities throw U.S. soccer team off top of building. I'm thankful I don't live in a country like Qatar. Qatar, however you want to pronounce it. I don't really care. Their disrespect for basic human rights, I was watching their opening game against Ecuador, and in the Ecuadorian cheering section, it was just, a mix of old and young, male and female. And then they went to the big Qatar section, and it was just young, middle-aged men. Yeah. Says something about a country when that's your crowd. But whatever. Imagine, if you will, a world where memes are fact-checked, but ballots aren't. Yeah. Maybe people are starting to wake up that it's the ballots that's the issue, not the machines, not the people counting. It's this whole idea of people handling ballots and ascertaining whether they're valid or not is such a dangerous thing, folks. You need to think about it that way. Don't worry about results. Just look at the actual mechanism that we are using right now. Pretty fucking shoddy. All right, that's some of the rudest shit I've ever put up, but holy shit, yes, officer, I'm being attacked. I haven't watched South Park lately. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that they didn't do that, but oh shit. Oh man. Turkey denied presidential pardon after photos emerged of it attending January 6th. I know, this is boomer humor, man. I get it, but this shit's still funny to me. Well, over Thanksgiving, we always reflect. It's a time of reflection. You think about what you're thankful for. I like to get a little abstract. One of the things I'm thankful is for how I turned out. I owe a lot of people that. My mom, my dad, they adopted me. My wife, who stood by me through a lot of years of bullshit. My daughter, that's given me renewed hope. But mostly for knowing who I am. That's the part that sometimes gets overlooked. Accepting the things about yourself, having the power to do that. And that's what we need more of. We need more people taking responsibility for their own lives and their own problems and seeking that help and being able to find that help. That's what we need. Right now, this country is in a mental health crisis. That's the prevailing thing through all of the different stories and through all the animosities. We're dissatisfied with the way our government is run. We're dissatisfied by the way our society is going. And it's going to take each individual to stand up and say, I want change. And to make that change. And to say that I can defend the rights of a trans female. And I can defend the rights of the Second Amendment. I can defend America. I can be proud of America. I don't have to feel ashamed of America. And it's up to the individuals. If your teacher wants to teach you that America's bad, then open your own eyes and look around and look at what goes on in Afghanistan or Qatar or North Korea or China or Russia. Look around. You know, we could go to the store and buy vape cartridges, and Griner is locked up in Russia for that. Be thankful that you live in America. Be thankful that you live in a country other than America where things are good. Look at those countries that are faltering. And remember that a lot of the reason why other countries are faltering comes down to greed and corruption. And that's what we're heading towards. When the media protects the politicians can act like gods. That's why Purple State exists. We want to put an end to all of that. We want people to earn our votes once again. We want media corporations to earn our trust. There are more of us than there are of them. And through each individual action, through each individual person, we can be the David to the evil fucking Goliath. But we have to do it as individuals. We have to stand up to the hate. We have to stand up to the crazy. We have to allow politicians and rule makers and police officers to do the job that we want them to do and not have to worry about how it's going to affect their polls. Maybe it's not going to be maybe it's not popular with everybody on the fringe. Who cares? Things like abortion are drops in the bucket compared to the real problems that we're facing right now. But we allow them to use that as a rallying cry, either for or against. Stuff like January 6th. They're still dragging out January 6th. What happened. But it's all about the blame game. It's all about the distraction. That's the kind of shit that we need to put an end to. We need to see through the smoke screen and get to the truth, and then demand that people follow up with that truth. I'm Kid Copious. I'm Purple State, and so are you.